All right, thanks for joining. So, this is going to be a very casual talk about my top 5 things that every instructor that's teaching from home should have in their toolbox. So, let's go ahead and start. So, when it comes to teaching at home, it's really important to be able to have a look that's good. No, that doesn't make sense. Really, it doesn't make sense at all. So if you're going to be teaching at home, it's really important to make sure that what you present is going to be clear and good. Because think about it, if you're teaching, say, dancing, salsa dancing, bachata, kizomba, whichever dancing is out there, you need to be able to teach it in a way where people can actually see. Now, it's one of the mistakes I see is people teaching with very blurry videos. And I can understand if you have a budget, I can understand that it's really difficult to put together the cash for getting the right equipment. But getting the right equipment doesn't necessarily mean breaking the bank. And the first thing that you want to do is, number one, have good lighting. Lighting plays a big role when it comes to your videos. Now, if you're teaching from your cell phone has a fixed aperture. What that means is your camera's pupils, basically, the pupils can't change like a regular mirrorless or full frame camera. So because it's fixed, which by the way, the reason why it's fixed is so that way it minimizes the size on your phone. Hence the reason why you're able to have a camera on your phone because of the fixed lens. But the thing is, it's not going to be able to focus in more light when you need it. So what happens is you have to accommodate it by having better lighting. Now, last week or so, I did a review on the Neewer 660 RGB LED lights. They're just LED panels, and they only cost, if I recall, $300, $290 before taxes. And those lights are awesome. And the reason why they're awesome is because number one, they're light. Number two, they're reasonably cheap because they come with the light stand, they come with the diffuser box, they come with everything you need. And especially the most important thing is there's 2 of them. But one of the things that people tend to do is they buy a ring light. There's just one light that's right in front of their camera. That's great, but if you think about it, if you end up moving to the left of it, to the right of it, especially when you're teaching, you're going to be out of the light. So you want to have light on light stands that's a little bit further out for you that can generate enough light that can hit you from a bit of a distance. So that way all of you can, when I say all of you, of course, I mean you can be fit inside the lens without looking all muddy and blurry. Now, there's different options out there when it comes to lighting. Yes, there's LED panels, there's the lighting that's inside, that whatever you have right now in your apartment or house. There's even lighting that's right outside that's coming through a window. The problem with all of that is, number one, if you're using just natural lighting, you're stuck with whenever or wherever that light is at the time. Now, of all the things that you want to put your money towards, I recommend putting it towards lighting. You just have more flexibility when it comes to lighting. You're not stuck with natural light. You're not stuck with fluorescent lighting that's one shade temperature. When you get the RGB panels like I was reviewing before, you're able to change the color temperature and you're able to adjust the brightness of it. And it is really bright, so it's quite a good investment for the long run. And I highly recommend when it comes to the 5 things we're going to talk about, lighting should be the top of your list. Number 2, your microphone. Something I've seen that has been kind of not really great is instructors using microphones that are just from their phone. That's great, but if you're standing 6 feet, 8 feet, 9 feet away, whatever it is, the further away you stand away from your phone, the harder it is that it's going to come out. One of the most important things that people have said that makes or break a video for them is the audio. So the audio needs to be clear enough for people to actually listen to. If the audio is not that great, it's going to turn people off. People are going to be annoyed with that reverb or that tunnel sound that comes out of it. It's best for you to get a wireless microphone. There's a couple different options out there. You can get a wireless Rode, which attaches to your, like a lapel or on your shirt, and it's like over like a little pack, transmitter pack. Another one I recommend you can do is one of the Rode shotgun microphones. Now, the great thing about the shotgun microphones is they're able to pick up sound straight in front of it. If you're going to be standing a couple of feet away from it, it's going to pick up and you'll at least have some sort of audio that's going to be clear. Now, if you notice what I'm using right now, I'm using a Shure SM7B microphone, or equivalent of that, I should say. Actually, it's the MV7. This is something that is only going to be used for podcasting. This is not something you would want to use for teaching. It's perfect to get that deep sound, but not something like this. You want to look at more at wireless microphones or shotgun microphones when it comes to to teach. Number 3. Your camera. I understand a lot of us have just a smartphone and we feel more comfortable, or maybe that's all we can do is just teach from a smartphone, and which is totally fine. If you just focus on getting the lighting, which is the most important thing, and number 2, the microphone, you'll be in good shape. Your camera, a lot of people are forgiving when it comes to video quality, but people are not quite so forgiving if the microphone, or the audio I should say, isn't clear, or the lighting is not that great. So if you have just a cell phone like an iPhone 12 or an Android or whatever cell phone is out there these days, they're all okay, totally fine, as long as you're comfortable with being able to mount it on a tripod, so that way it's up to eye level or so, you'll be fine. Of course, if you're interested in having more clarity from your videos, then definitely you could invest in a mirrorless camera. For me, I personally use a Sony A6400, and it's a mirrorless camera that offers a flip-up display. So it's really convenient, so that way if I ever do selfies or I'm filming myself, I can actually see myself as I'm filming. Now, a camera like this is going to run you a lot of money, so unless you have the budget for it, it's probably not necessary for you to get the camera. But if you want to do it, you're looking at probably for an A6400, $1,500. And that's about how much I spent. But there are other models that offer the flip-up screen, such as the A6400. The A6400 is an older model that a lot of people still recommend, and that camera itself only goes for about $800 or $900 on Amazon, or maybe even eBay. So if you're interested in having just the body, I recommend that. Now, when it comes to lenses, there's a couple of different things you can go with. Now, for me, what you're seeing right now is a Sigma 1.4 30mm lens that I have mounted on my A6400. The great thing about these types of lenses is the aperture of 1.4. Now, the 1.4 simply means that the lens is able to have a really, really wide lens hole. I think that's the best way to explain it for layman terms. And it's great for low light. So if I'm filming in not the most ideal lighting conditions, it's perfect for me. The thing is, it doesn't have stabilization. That means that if you are looking for doing anything that's going to be requiring you to move around, it's not going to be very steady. But if you're doing filming on a tripod, probably won't make a big difference. So I recommend that. Now, you can go with any other type of lens, as long as you're focused on getting a lens that are about 30mm or 35mm, depending on what type of body frame you're using, mirrorless or full frame. It depends. There's a whole slew of this we could talk about for a while, but the best thing to do is, if you're confused about what I'm telling you right now, or you want to learn more and you want me to help you answer, feel free to leave a comment below. I'm always happy to help people with their question when it comes to technology or just concepts and stuff. So don't hesitate, just leave a comment. And besides, while we're talking about that, you know, if you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe. I release videos once a week, so I try to post videos that are important enough where my friends would appreciate or would benefit from. So if you have an idea on a video that you would like me to cover, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll be sure to take a look at it. If you have a smartphone and you're filming with your smartphone your lessons, that's totally fine. If you have a webcam, that's totally fine. Again, as long as you're just looking at the lighting is the most important thing, and then second, a microphone, you should be okay. Number 4, laptop. Now, most people have a laptop, so it's not much of a really big deal to talk about this. However, I just want to point out when it comes to having a laptop, you want to make sure there's 8 gigs of RAM. RAM is pretty important these days, and as we progress more and more through these different levels of or newer levels of technology, RAM becomes that much more important. These days, it's a given that you want to have at least 8 gigs of RAM. Ideally, you want 16 gigs of RAM for your laptop or desktop computer. Either way, the idea is you want to have enough RAM so that way your computer isn't chugging along while it's processing everything. I don't have any recommendations when it comes to laptops, just as long as it's something you like and something you enjoy using. As long as it has the 16 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM, you'll be totally fine. Number 5, content. Above all else, besides the lighting, besides the microphone, besides the camera, besides the laptop, the most important thing is the content. If you don't have a sense of what you want to convey or a sense of an actual lesson plan, it's not going to come out very good. You want your content to be engaging enough where people are going to want to listen and be able to stick around for it. Now, for me, when I was teaching for those 10 years at J Smooth Salsa at the Morado Studio, I remember when the first year, it was tough. I barely was able to get people to come in. I think after a year, I was actually getting people to come in because by that point, we established a website and we had a little bit more of a marketing system down. So we had a lot of people coming in. But the question was that I had after that was, how do we keep them coming back? And at the time, I did not have a good lesson plan to get people to come back. It wasn't structured. It had no sense of beginning, middle, and end. And I felt that at the time, I just didn't have that customer retention. Years later, of course, once I worked more towards a lesson format that was more constructive and actually had a beginning, middle, and end, I started to see I had a lot of repeat customers coming back for the salsa lessons, and it was just a lot better. It was something I felt proud about. So when it comes to your content, it's important to have a plan before you actually get on camera. Don't assume that just because the dancers are not in front of you, that you should be lax with your content. It's actually the opposite. You want to make sure that you take the time to build out your lesson plan before you get on camera. I think in a lot of ways, people are less forgiving with lessons online versus lessons in person. So I think the best thing you can do is to take the time to create a lesson plan that's appropriate to what you are doing in front of the camera. Obviously, if you are teaching with a partner in front of the camera, then have a lesson plan with that. Or if it's just you, have a lesson plan appropriate. Don't forget that people are going to have a hard time following, especially if your audio is not that great or your video quality isn't that great. But none of that really matters if your content doesn't tie it all together. So that's it. That's 5 things I feel is really important when it comes to being able to teach at home or to be able to film at home. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe. I try to release a video once a week, whether it's Wednesday or Thursday or Friday at this point. One of the big focuses on my channel is long-term reviews. Thanks again for joining. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I'll see you soon. And take care until then.